2 weeks ago, I saw a post on the Space Station 13 subreddit. It was about Unity Station's lockers. When I read this post, something caught my eye. The cursed locker is animated. I was like, oh whoa, what's this? And I clicked on the GIF and was disappointed. You see, when I read that, I thought the locker door was gonna swing open or something, but no, the locker just blinks. But that got me thinking, what if the door actually swung open? So today I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to make the locker door swing open. Now there's two ways of doing this. You can draw every frame of this animation and then put them together into an animated DMI icon state. This is very simple on the code side, but it has the downside that you have to draw those frames for every single kind of locker that exists, and that takes a lot of time. No, the objectively better option, which is the one I'm going to do, is to use Beyond's transforms to take the door and distort it. Then I can use Beyond's animate proc to smoothly transition between the open state and the closed state. Now luckily for me, the door is already a separate icon. The way it works is that there's an icon for the body of the locker, and then there's an overlay that has a closed door or an open door. The reason it's done this way is so that you can have a shared body, a shared open door, and several different closed doors. Now you might be thinking, I can just call animate on this overlay and be done, right? Unfortunately, it's not that simple. You see, you can't actually animate overlays in Beyond. Instead, what you have to do is create a separate object and add it to the base object's visContents list. This causes it to be drawn on top of the base object, kind of like an overlay, and then you can animate it. Anyways, what I'm going to do is to use an overlay when the locker is stationary. And when it opens and closes, I'm going to replace the overlay with a visContents object. And then once it's done, I'll put the overlay back. That should keep the performance cost down while the locker is just sitting there. With that out of the way, let's talk about transforms. Using a transform, you can take a sprite and do any combination of translation, rotation, stretching, flipping, or skewing. The way you do this is very simple. You make a matrix, call the appropriate proc on it, and assign it to the transform var of something. There's one small problem though. There's no proc for skew, and I kind of need skew. Luckily, there's a very simple solution for this. When creating a matrix, you can pass 6 values. The meanings are quite simple for these values. A and E are horizontal and vertical scaling. B and D are horizontal and vertical skew, and C and F are horizontal and vertical translation. With those 6 values, any combination of transforms can be represented. Anyways, to make a locker open and close, I just need to combine horizontal scaling and vertical skew. The problem now is figuring out just how much of those two I need. To do this, I need to use some basic trigonometry. Now, if you look at the locker from the top-down perspective, the door swings in a circle. To make something go in a circle, you use a cosine and sine as the coordinates and change the angle. So to make the locker swing open, I'm going to set the horizontal scaling, or A, to the cosine of the door angle, and the vertical skew, or D, to the sine of the door angle. I'll also negate the sine so that it swings in the correct direction, and give it some multiplier I'll figure out later so that it looks right. Now all I have to do is animate the matrix between the open and closed state. That shouldn't be too hard, right? Alright, so it kind of works. The problem is that instead of swinging around the hinge, it swings around the center. So I'm going to have to fix it. by moving it right, then swinging it, then moving it left. No, I forgot to compile. Ugh. And of course, I forgot a closing parentheses. Time for another compile. Alright, so it works, but the angle and perspective are wrong. To fix this, I'm going to make this locker look normal, put them on top of each other, and use VV to fix the thing. And now it looks kinda right. Now there is a problem with this. It has to do with the transition between opening and closing. You see, I mentioned earlier that it should swing in a circle. Unfortunately, it swings in a straight line. Now, Beyond is kind of smart about this. If you use animate to rotate something, it will separate out the rotation so that it doesn't shrink during the rotation. However, I'm not rotating the door, I'm skewing and scaling it in a circle. So to make this work, I'll split the animation into several steps. This will make it swing open instead of rubber banding. Alright, now I animated the locker instead of the locker's door. Gosh darn it. Brilliant. It works. There's just one more major issue with this. So apparently the locker door has like two sides, and it's kind of just showing the same thing on both sides. The front side sprite already exists, but the back side kind of doesn't. All there is the open state, but that's all skewed in things, and I need it unskewed. So to solve this, I'm gonna make a special little image. So what's special about this image is that if you look at this image, at every pixel, the red and green are equal to the x and y coordinates of the image. So what I'm going to do is put this in a DMI and set it as the door's icon state and then open the locker. Then I'll take a screenshot and crop it. I'll be able to look at the red and green value at every pixel and find the original pixel coordinates and use this to undo the transform. Then I can, in the animation, flip the icon state over to the backside once it reaches 90 degrees. Alright, it works. I just posted a short video on the Yacht Station Discord, and they thought it was neat. So yeah, at this point, it's nearly done. I just need to do some finishing touches, like making it work with freezers where the door is like at a different angle, and some other things, so... Awesome. It works. Time to open the pull request. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something about Beyond or SS13 code or something. Don't forget to harm baton the subscribe button. Yeah, harm baton. Harm baton the subscribe button. Yeah, thanks for watching.